This one, okay. On his return from a holiday in the Amazonian rainforest, Harry decides he wants to make a contribution to protecting the environment. He decides, therefore, he will raise some money by selling his electric guitar. Simon sees the guitar advertised and loves the unusual purple color, but it is deterred by the price, which is much higher than others he has considered buying. Harry explained that all the money raised from the sale will go to a rainforest charity. Supportive of this charitable cause, Simon buys the guitar. Shortly afterwards, Harry falls into serious financial difficulty, and rather than sending the money to the Amazonian charity, he pays off some of his credit card debt. Simon finds out and is furious since he could have bought a similar guitar for less money. Still short of money, Harry decides to sell his car and buy a bicycle. He advertises it on e-sales. Andy sees the ad and sends Harry an email asking whether the car is suitable for motorway driving, since he will need it to drive on the motorway to work every day. In his reply, Harry writes that the car is a great little runner and has never broken down on the motorway. In fact, for the last 3 months, Harry has noticed a terrible noise every time he drives above 40 miles an hour and has therefore avoided all motorway driving. Andy buys the car, and just one motorway trip, the car breaks down. He is unable to get to work and his boss sacks him from the job. Advise Harry in respect of his liability towards Simon and Andy. Yes, how would you answer this question?
For the start, we'll say the definition of misrepresentation.
Lucky, huh? Now you better, after learning from that. Yes, okay.
Then, so that we'll...
What is the definition? You must always say it. That's the only time you can remember. If you stop saying, you forget everything.
Misrep is the false statement. It's a false statement of fact, which uses the seller, is the buyer.
This is a party to enter. Don't say buyer or seller.
Okay. A party to buy the product. Then for the first part, which is the charity part, we believe that it is a statement which becomes false.
Statement?
Which become false.
Was it a statement of fact?
Oh yeah, it is a statement.
So first of all, you see, what you have to say is statement of fact. Right? So you define statement of fact. So after you define the statement of fact, so the next step you say, what are the statements made? So now you're talking about part one. So part one, what was the statement made? You must explain the statement. You cannot say, oh, the statement becomes false. I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
What was the statement made?
Okay, the statement made was that Harry would donate all the money raised from the sale to the rainforest charity.
So he said he's selling his guitar.
Yeah.
Right, and all the money raised will be sent to charity, correct?
Yes.
Rainforest charity. Okay. So is that a statement of fact or is that a statement of opinion?
Okay.
Why are you looking at her and telling me?
I think
We need some
official we are all still about it.
So it is a statement of
Okay.
fact. Okay. So if it is a statement of fact, right? Okay. The next one is, was it true?
I think it is true in the...
No, wait. Was it true?
When he made the statement, it was
Yes.
true.
Was it true? Yes.
Yes.
So it was true, correct?
Yes.
So was the contract entered into?
Yes.
Yes. So that means at the time the statement was made, the statement was true. Right? Contract was entered into. Correct? Then subsequently it became untrue. Correct? So what is the fact? What is the position?
For the part when it became untrue, it became a form of misrepresentation. It's because he did not disclose it to the seller, to the
Buyer.
yes, to the buyer.
What is your authority? Remember the example I gave you?
Ah.
That means at the time when I make the statement was true. Right? The statement of fact, it was true and you enter into the contract. But subsequently it became not true. Right? So what is your obligation if it becomes not true? You have to inform the other party and then for the other party to decide what he wants to do. Correct? What is the case?
With all Flanagan.
With an O Flanagan, yes. Remember the case of the medical doctor? Right? When he said he wanted to sell the practice, at the time he said the amount that he's getting was correct. Then subsequently he became sick. A lot of time he closed the clinic. Then the amount dropped, and yet he sold the business at that price. So that was a misrepresentation, right? So even though at that particular point of time when you say it is true, but subsequently it becomes untrue, then that still is a misrepresentation. So it could be he knew, he believes it to be true, no, but there's already a misrepresentation. So that becomes a breach also, correct? So he should have informed. So since he did not inform, what's the fellow's name? The guitar buyer.
Harry.
Harry.
So
So-
buyer is Simon.
So can Simon rescind the contract?
Yes.
Yes.
And the type of misrepresentation
It
will
could be
that
negligent misrep.
in
But I see that the point here is you cannot really say, you know what, because the contract already entered. If the contract has not entered, then you can discuss what type of misrepresentation. Right? So you see, because, basically that fella, you have to disclose whatever problems you have, right? So in this case, contract already entered into. Then, what happens? Then he did not want to follow what he promised. So the basic factor is he must keep to his promise, right? A contract that was true and subsequently becomes untrue, then you will have to inform, right? And maybe the other party can rescind the contract, because if you had told me, right, that you are not going to send it, I may want to buy it, correct? So on that basis, you can work on that kind of a principle to say that there was a breach of contract, and it could also be a term of the contract. You understand? So it can also be a term of the contract, so there is a breach of the term. Right? So that means I'm buying this product because you said you are going to donate to charity. So now you are not donating to charity. So there is a breach of contract. You understand? So it could also fall under the breach of contract side. You know the term, but you're not following the term. So you can go on that basis also. So misrepresentation and also at the same time term of contract.
So for this case, for the first one, do we
You
have
can
to
put
state?
both.
Do we have to state which kind of misrepresentation?
No, not necessarily, because the type of misrepresentation will come before you enter into the contract. You understand? So in this case, you can talk about there is a misrepresentation, right? That means after the contract was entered into, but the main factor is there's a breach of the terms of the contract. So one of the main thing that he entered into a contract was because of the fact that he wants to donate to charity that I bought the goods. If not for the charity, I wouldn't want to buy the product at such a high price. Okay, so it will be more on the terms, plus mention misrepresentation also. Okay, part 2.
For part 2, it's a statement of fact.
Why statement of fact?
Because he told the buyer that the car is suitable for driving on the motorway.
Okay, so it's a statement of fact. What is the case that you put it? Hello. Smith and Land property always that's the main thing. When there's no very clear cut, Smith and Land property would be the case. If it's not sure, if it's an opinion kind of thing, then Bissett and Wilkinson. You understand? So these are the two cases you will have to highlight. So in this case, because he said it is suitable for the highway. Because why? He had actually driven on the highway and yet it didn't work, remember? So therefore, is it suitable, the highway? No. So what is he doing? He's making a statement of fact, correct? Which is actually, did it induce him to enter into a contract?
Yes.
Yes.
And we believe that it is a false statement of fact because it is, first thing is material. Because the main reason for the buyer to buy the car was because of the driving on the motorway. Then second thing is there is reliance. As the buyer they rely on the seller's information and knowledge on the car, which is able to drive on the motorway. So there's a form of misrepresentation, and the type is fraudulent.
So don't say, what is fraudulent?
Fraudulent is whereby the buyer knows that there is problem.
There is no buyer here, it's seller.
The seller knows that there's a.
That means the person who makes the statement knew that the statement is false, or he makes it recklessly without checking if it was true. So in this case, does he know it was not true?
He knows.
Yes. Why? Because he has driven the car and he cannot even go above 40 miles. So that means he knew it is not suitable for the motorway. So it is a fraudulent misrepresentation. So if it is a fraudulent misrepresentation, what is the remedy? He can rescind the contract. Rescind the contract basically means he can cancel the contract. Yes.
He's advising.
Louder.
You are advising Harry now.
Harry is who?
The
Seller.
Yeah. Harry is a seller.
Ah.
So the same thing now. So you tell Harry, that means Harry had made a fraudulent misrepresentation.
But no one
Right.
can prove that he made.
What do you mean the proof? He knows what he's the one, the facts itself say what?
But the buyer didn't know much.
Doesn't matter. So you are telling him, hey, hello, the buyer also going to get a lawyer, okay, to defend him, to sue him. Correct. So what are you trying to tell Harry? Tell Harry you're liable. Very good point. I didn't know who to help. So don't ever think you have to protect the fella. If the fella made a mistake, you must say he made a mistake. That means here you're not going to protect Harry to say, sorry Harry, you never make a mistake. Because Harry specifically said that it is good on the motorway. But is that actually good? No. So Harry knew it was not good. So actually Harry made a fraudulent misrepresentation. So since Harry made a fraudulent misrepresentation, right, which basically says that if a person makes a statement knowing it to be false or makes it recklessly without checking it is true, it is fraudulent. And the innocent party is entitled to rescind the contract. So in this case, the buyer is able to rescind the contract and Harry will be liable in damages in the event he suffered. Because fraudulent misrep, you can get both rescinding the contract and or damages. Okay, hello, don't protect him. If he's wrong, you must tell him he's wrong. You understand? That is how the case is. Are we clear? We have to do a lot more of these questions. So do you know that the questions are the most important? Your law is not so. Law you just understand is okay, but you must do the question. Right? So next week, can you all just read a little bit on the mistake? So we'll start on the question on mistake, then we'll try and finish it, then the last 2-3 weeks, if we got more time, we will go back to all the area again. So at least you are fully, because as I told you, all of you doing accounting. Who's not doing accounting? Only one. Okay, accounting contract is very important. Right? But for you, okay lah, useful lah, although it's not that very important, it's useful. Okay? You understand? So you have to re-look at the question over and over again. The same question will come back next time, re-look at it. That's the only way you all are going to pass. As I say, it's not an easy subject, neither is it a tough subject. Because the standard will be the lawyer standard, LLB standard. So you have to work a bit harder. Okay? Clear so far? Okay, good. So just read up mistake next week. So when we look at the question, it will be easier. Then we'll revisit this. Okay? Okay, good. So, yes. Louder.
By rescinding the contract means cancel the contract.
Yeah, we are terminating the contract.
Terminating the contract, what if the person already...
To put, that means actually when you say rescission means you are trying to put you back to the original position as if the contract has not been entered into. Right? So that is actually when you look at the rescind means you're You're going back to the original position as if the contract was not entered into.